Alright, the other day, I decided to rewatch one of my favorite superhero movies, Kickass. As always, I enjoyed it, so I'm making a video on it. The movie opens up with our main character, Dave. Dave is kind of a dweeb. He's never had a girlfriend, he sucks at sports, he gets bullied in school, he spends most of his days cranking hog, and his mom just randomly croaked one day a while back. So yeah, his life is kind of shitty. But one day while at a comic store, he has a thought.
How come nobody's ever tried to be a superhero?
His friend on the left, Marty, is like, probably because it's impossible, and if anyone tried, they'd get stomped out in like a day. And his friend on the right, Todd, says no one has superpowers, so that's why. Fair enough. They then see one of their rich classmates, Christy and Miko, come in, and they think if they made friends with him, then they'd probably be cool at school. But his bodyguards tell him to fuck off, so that was that. After leaving the store, they almost immediately get robbed by two dudes, and Dave looks over and sees some dude in the window just watching this all go down. But this is it. This is the last straw for Dave, so he goes home that night and orders his first superhero suit. We then cut to Frankie's Lumber. Mob boss Frank D'Amico is interrogating one of his men because the man says a guy in a super suit stomped out everyone he was with and stole Frankie's blow. And they're like, so you're saying Batman did this?
I didn't say like Batman. I never said Batman.
But Frank doesn't believe any of this nonsense, so they deal with him, and then we see that Chris is actually Frank's son. We then cut to Dave. He's got his suit, so he throws it on, and as soon as he started shadowboxing, I knew Buddy was going to get his ass kicked first day on the job. Elsewhere, we see a man with his daughter, and they're testing out her bulletproof vest. The girl, Mindy, is like a tamer, less rude, female version of Damian Wayne, or at least that's the vibe that I get. Back in the city, we see Dave doing some super serious hardcore training, and after a while he decides it's go time, and he attempts to jump from one building to another, but comes to his senses before jumping. Probably smart. And then when leaving, he comes across the two dudes who robbed him earlier, who are now breaking into a car. So he turns the corner and decides it's time. He suits up and confronts the two dudes. He gets smacked with a juicer to the lips and then takes out his batons and actually lands a few decent shots, but then proceeds to get stabbed almost immediately. And then when walking away, he gets hit by a car. I told you, as soon as I saw that shadowboxing, I knew he was toast. He gets rushed to the hospital, and the next day, Joe tells Frank that they have a problem. Chris tries to tag along, but Frank tells him to go finish his oatmeal like a good little kid.
Go finish your oatmeal.
Joe tells him that the guy earlier who said a vigilante stole the product might have been telling the truth because the Russian guy said he was sold more blow at half price. We then cut to Damon and Mindy at their place, and Bro's apartment is a whole ass gun store, and since it's Mindy's birthday, what better gift to give an 11-year-old than 2 butterfly knives, I guess. Back at Frank's Lumber, Joe smacks their Russian friend in an industrial microwave and tries to question him, but while it heats up, he can't hear anything, so before he can even say anything, he pops like a balloon. This movie's wild. We jump to sometime after this and see Dave is filled with steel and nails, but he's recovered and he's doing well. He now also can barely feel any pain. And a girl he likes, Katie, actually chats him up after class and asks him if he wants to go get coffee sometime. But unfortunately, Dave's friend tells him that Katie's only doing this because there's a rumor going around that Dave is gay. So that's unfortunate. But Dave gets home and starts training to get in shape by doing a few sit-ups and fighting the air. So yeah, he's dialed in and ready to go. He even makes a MySpace account which totally won't get tracked back to him. Then that night, he goes out and finds a flyer for a missing cat and goes around looking for him. He eventually finds him on a billboard thing and climbs up to try to get him down, but he ends up falling to the floor and a guy trips over him. This guy then starts getting jumped, so Dave grabs his batons and starts swinging trying to help. He actually lands a few good shots, but this doesn't last long before he gets double-legged into the ground and starts getting whooped. He somehow gets up and tells this guy to call the police, but that guy just tells everyone inside that there's a superhero scrapping and he starts recording. Kickass low-key holds his own though, and doesn't get curb stomped, which is crazy, and eventually the 3 dudes just accept defeat and leave once they see everybody recording. The dude who is recording asks him what his name is, and he says Kickass. This video of him fighting eventually pops off, and Kickass becomes well known. It's all over the news, they're selling his costume at comic stores, everything. The next day, Dave has coffee with Katie, and they bring up Kickass, and she says she's actually been thinking of emailing him to help her because of her ex-boyfriend Rasul, who has apparently been hitting her and won't leave her alone. So that night, Dave puts the suit on and goes to visit Rasul. He pulls up on him and he tells him to leave her alone or else he's gonna break his fucking legs. And Rasul's like, yo, who the fuck are you? But before he can do anything, Dave tases him right in the forehead. His men then grab Dave, but before he can die 3rd day on the job, Mindy, who goes by Hit Girl, packs Rasul up. She then goes on to ruthlessly pack up everyone in this room, and I can't show like any of it, bro, I'm sorry. After she does all that, she tells Dave to just chill out, they're on the same team. And as she's doing this, another dude tries sneaking up on her but gets sniped by her dad, who goes by Big Daddy. Goated superhero name in my opinion. She grabs the cash, then jumps from the roof, but Dave isn't trying to do all that, so he stays behind. He then goes home and realizes he's a scrub and not really cut out for this, and cries himself to sleep. That same night, Joe shows Frank a picture from one of his men's phone who died, and he says he thinks it's Kickass who's been murking all their men. So Frank tells Joe that he wants him dead. No idea how they thought this was Kickass. His costume was bright green and this is black. Not even remotely the same, but whatever. We cut to Dave getting woken up that night by a hit girl and Big Daddy. They tell him that they found him through his IP address because of his MySpace account. They also tell him that they like him but don't trust him, and if he ever wants to contact them, he can just put on his MySpace that he's on vacation. They then dip out. The next day, Hit Girl and Big Daddy get all the names and addresses of Frank's men from this guy before packing him up. Then later on, a man breaks into Big Daddy's house and snoops around and finds one of his comics. The comic shows that Big Daddy, who's also known as Damon, and this guy, whose name is Marcus, worked for the police and were partners. But Frank wanted them gone, so he framed Damon for a crime he didn't do and was arrested and served hard time. This was all hard on Damon's wife, so she killed herself, but her baby Mindy survived, and Marcus took over as her guardian while Damon was in prison. And then when Damon got out of prison, he started training Mindy so they can take revenge on Frank, and this is how they became vigilantes. Damon finds him snooping, and Marcus tells him that Frank is looking for Kickass and has guys on the inside, so he needs to be careful. We then cut to Frank riding around when he sees Kickass just walking around in broad daylight. He pulls up on him in an alley, head kicks him, beats him up a little, and shoots him. Turns out, that was just some fan impersonating him. Chris overhears all this, so he decides to tell his dad that he has a plan on how they could take out Kickass, and gives him a note of all the things that he'll need. Later on, while Dave and his friends are at the comic store, they see on TV that there's a new hero going by Red Mist, and all his friends and Katie think this new hero is way cooler. So Dave goes home and tries on a cape, which is just not it, and then when checking his laptop, he sees he got a message to meet up with Red Mist. So later that night, they meet up. And Red Mist was nearly on all fours slurping his shit, talking about, dude, I'm your biggest fan.
Wow. Hey, really?
Yeah, he fell for it. He's probably bricked up too. Red Mist shows him the Mistmobile, and they ride around for a bit before Red Mist tells him that he knows of some girl who mailed him saying that some guy's been following her, and they should check it out. He then shoots Mikey, who's one of Frank's men, a text saying they're on their way. But when they pull up to the spot, they see it's on fire, they run in and find a bunch of dead bodies. Red Mist then grabs this teddy bear, and then they both get out of there. And Dave's like, dude, why'd you save the teddy bear?
I don't know, man. Come on.
Fair enough. Frank thinks Kickass caused all this, but Chris barges in and tells him that he needs to watch this. They plug in the bear, which was apparently a camera, and watch footage of Big Daddy coming in and absolutely destroying everyone in the warehouse with ease while bullets bounce off of him before lighting the place on fire. Chris tells them that he thinks Kickass might know who this guy is, and Frank tells his men to spread the word about this guy. Marcus calls Damon and warns him that he heard from inside that they're onto him, so Damon tells Mindy it's finally time to take out Frank D'Amico. The next day, Dave decides it's time to stop being a hero, but he's got to do one more thing. He sneaks into Katie's room that night to surprise her, I guess. Probably not the best idea. Katie turns around and sprays him with hairspray, and before she can smack him with a bat, he reveals it's him. He apologizes and also makes it very clear that he's not into dudes. And this somehow leads to them sitting on her bed, and he ends up laying some pipe down on her.
My man.
The next day, Damon plans on how to get into Frank's building, and Mindy says she found something, but it's $300,000.
Add to shopping cart.
Yeah, Big Daddy's got it like that. Over at the comic store, Dave seems to be doing well with Katie, considering they up and leave just to do it outside. Dave also tells us that he promised Katie his hero days are over since she was worried about him, but he finds a bunch of emails from Red Mist, so he tells her he's got to do one more hero thing. He meets up with Red Mist, and Red Mist tells him that the people at the warehouse are friends with some bad people, and those bad people think that they smoked the people in the warehouse. So he asks Dave if he knows anyone who can help. So Dave puts on vacation on his MySpace for Damon, who tells them to meet at Safe House B. Red Mist and Dave head over there, and Damon gets suited up in a pretty cool bathroom shot. They get to the spot, walk in, and Red Mist immediately shoots Hit Girl out the window. Then his men come in, tase Big Daddy, and take both Kickass and him. And one of the men grab the bazooka that's on the wall. That's important to know for later. The news is spread that Kickass will be announcing his retirement live, and so obviously everyone is tuning in to watch this. But it opens up and shows Big Daddy and Dave tied up with a bunch of masked men surrounding them. They beat them up using different weapons like brass knuckles and bats before it gets cut off the air, so everyone scrambles to find it themselves online. And Dave tells us that even with his messed up nerve endings, that shit did not feel good. The masked men then pour gas on them, but the lights cut out, and Hit Girl starts taking people out while using night vision. She starts clearing the whole room, but during the chaos, they manage to light Big Daddy on fire. Hit Girl's able to take out the remaining men and shoot the camera, but it's a little late for her dad, and he dies from his burns. She then drives Dave back to her place, and Dave cleans himself up in the bathroom while she packs up a bunch of weapons. Dave comes out and is like, "Yo, what are you doing? We're done." But she tells him she's not finished till Frank is gone, and Dave reluctantly agrees to help. She then shows Dave what he's going to use to get into the building and tells him he better start reading the instructions for it. We then cut to Frank's building where everyone's on high alert, sorta, not really. But the men at the front desk see a little girl at the door, and they're not supposed to let anyone in, but they let her in because she looks scared and lost. Big mistake. The dude offers his phone so she can call her parents, but she puts a gun in his mouth and shoots everyone in the room. She then takes the elevator upstairs and easily murks the 3 dudes guarding the elevator. The other men in the building hear the commotion, so they go to check it out, and Hit Girl turns the corner and starts shooting everyone in the hall, jumping on the bookshelf and shooting, dodging bullets. Literally, she dodged a bullet.
Who the fuck can do that?
She reloads while running and continues to clear the hall solo dolo and dodges another bullet. How the fuck is she doing that? This chick is ridiculous. She runs out of ammo and throws the gun at the last guy, kicks him, takes his gun, but he's also out of ammo. And there's more men coming up the elevator, so she runs and hides. Mind you, while all this is happening, Frank, Chris, and their big bodyguard are all tucked away and listening to this while sweating absolute bullets. Frank tells the guard to go out there and check what's going on, so he goes out there, and they're all like, "Dude, we got her trapped, but we're not trying to go out there." So they force the dude in the front to go, and he lights up the entire kitchen. Then he gets stabbed twice.
I'm getting the bazooka.
The big guard runs back and is like, "It's alright, boss, it's getting handled." And he grabs the bazooka. He brings it out and is about to shoot, but they hear something. They turn and see my boy Dave flying up with a motherfucking jetpack with guns. He then proceeds to start Swiss cheesing everyone in the room. They then roll up to Frank's office together, and then Red Mist takes on Dave, while Hit Girl takes Frank. And she immediately gets spinning back kick to the face, good lord. He tries to stomp her, but she moves out of the way and starts dodging him, runs up the wall and does a backflip, then jumps on him and starts landing juicers. He grabs her and pins her to the wall, and she smacks him with a glass. And while this is happening, Dave is going at it with Red Mist, and not much is happening here. It's pretty much just 2 geeks playing patty cake together, and they eventually somehow knock each other out.
You serious?
That's an A for effort though from Dave. Hit Girl then finds a knife and stabs Frank a couple times, but gets thrown into a table. He then starts beating the snot out of her and grabs his gun to finish the job. But before he can do so, Dave wakes up, grabs the bazooka, and shoots Frank with the bazooka out the window. Dave then picks up Hit Girl, and they fly away. The film ends with them landing on a rooftop and Hit Girl revealing her secret identity and thanking Dave. And then they all go about their lives. So, yeah, that was Kickass. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Also, let me know if I should cover the second one. But that's all I've got for you guys today. So, I'll see you in the next one.